you're mentioning talking about this with Joe for a couple of years. Was there kind of a point that, or kind of what gave you this idea?
So Joe came to our softball game a couple years back. He threw out the first pitch actually at our softball game, and we announced him. Obviously, the professor that encouraged me to start the nonprofit, start the foundation, and what our softball game has gotten to from year one, raising like $40,000 to now. Last year, I think we raised over $700,000. So, the Imagine for Youth is finally getting some traction, and so, we've just been talking over the last couple of years. He came to a Bills game a couple of years ago. We kind of was still like discussing it, but he said, let's pull the plug. Right? Let's do it. Let's not pull the plug, but let's start it and see what can come of it.
The idea for Imagine for Youth, like, how informed was it when you first came up with it?
I thought it was a very good idea, and it was well formed back then. But I looked at Joe even said this. He looked at the report that I turned in, or the paper that I turned in, and he said it was pretty good. But I also saw it too, and it wasn't very good. I got a good grade on it because of the event that we put on with the Boys and Girls Club in Cedar Rapids. But it was kind of just a rough idea, and to see where it is now, not only working with kids and when it comes to athletics, but also academics and even medical. We have done we've done a lot with kids in Buffalo with the Oshai Hospital, Children's Hospital, and now we're here, we're in the Children's Hospital here. So it's kind of forming into just a whole umbrella, just trying to help and support kids and families that need it. So, like I said, to go from year one and just be able to donate a couple, footballs and baseballs to the local girls and boys club to now doing this is really special.
What does it mean to you to kind of see the University of Iowa support you and your goals, even after kind of being away from the community for so long?
It's amazing. I feel like when it comes to this foundation, and obviously starting it here at the University of Iowa, but the way I've kind of used this foundation is like a tool to give back to, I guess, my own journey also. So my hometown here at Iowa, Buffalo, and one day even get back into Green Bay and stuff. Just that's been my journey, and I know how special the people are that helped me get to where I am today. And so I want to get back to those communities and be able to bless the kids. And so that's kind of where I'm at with this whole Iowa thing.
How did it feel walking back into Papa John?
This is my first time being back since probably the last time I walked out of here. It's kind of weird trying to find, he told me to go to S107. Where is S107? So I'm trying to find the room. But, even coming back to the university, it just brings up a bunch of memories, and it's special. Always going to have a special place in my heart. I spent 4 years here. 4 years where I thought I was an adult. Obviously, college, you're not an adult, and you're kind of just learning your ways. And so coming out here 8 hours away from Ohio and experience this place was a blessing. And, like I said, it's kind of paved the way for who I am today.
How's retirement treating you?
Love it. Love every bit of it. I got a 5 and a 3-year-old, so just staying busy with them, going to school and coaching t-ball and doing that type of things, but also doing a lot of this foundation stuff. We got the annual softball game like I just spoke of coming up in May. June, I got my annual football camp, 500 kids, free camp, and then July is this event. So a lot of things coming up with the foundation, keeping me busy. I honestly haven't even any time to think about retirement. I would like to golf every day, so that's why I made this a golf event, so at least I can get out and golf. But it's going pretty awesome, and I'm looking forward to it.
Did I hear correctly?
Go ahead, John.
Did I hear correctly? San Diego area?
Yeah, we live out in San Diego area. My wife's born and raised, so I got lucky. That way.
I was just curious, was it always called Imagine for Youth?
No. So it's actually Imagine. When I first started in class, 2013 it was Imagine Foundation. When we went to file it in Ohio, there was already Imagine Foundation. So we had to think about, and back then the slogan was kind of "I'm in for youth," and so we just kind of added the for youth behind it, and here it is today.
What's it been like working with students who are kind of in the same position you were back when you were doing this kind of things?
It's actually really cool. It's really cool because, we've been over Zoom and we've been talking. I think I was able to hop in a couple times with the last semester one time and this semester one time. So, it's getting closer to the event. I want to make sure, obviously, it's to Imagine for You standard, and I know the kids the students here are also trying to do the same thing to make it, you know, a special and a good event. So we just felt like it was important for us to show up here today and all kind of brainstorm for a couple hours on how we can, you know, make this event special.
How was your experience with your own foundation and other events kind of helped you plan this one specifically?
There's been some ups and downs for sure. Anytime you're doing some you know, events, you got to deal with, you know, weather or sponsors or transportation, communication, a lot of things that goes into these events. So you know, I think throughout the years of doing these events, whether it's our softball games or our back to school drives or Kicks for Kids events or anything that we do, there's always some hiccups, but you know, that's what makes the event special. You gotta, you know, keep rolling with the punches, and you know, who knows, July 11th, it could, you know, weather could come into play, but you gotta have a backup plan, and I think that's what Joe's trying to, you know, kind of communicating with the students in the class, like, you know, when you're an entrepreneur, stuff's gonna come up, but you gotta be able to keep going, and so that's kind of what we've, you know, kind of portraying to them.
Charity versus celebrity. Why was charity the go-to for you?
Yeah, you know, obviously I don't see myself as a celebrity. Some other people may see me as a celebrity, but I don't see it that way. This is ultimately a charity event. You know, we have other events, and you know, charity is behind it, not celebrity. And so, you know, we're in Iowa City, man. We don't need to be anything we're not. It's not celebrities coming in. It's just guys that want to help and bring in as much money as possible to donate to the Children's Hospital. That's essentially what it is. It's a charity. So we felt it was best to kind of pivot a little bit. We're a couple months out, and you know, it's probably the best time to do it now rather than, you know, a month later to be able to change it.
Did you ever overcome the dad wall?
The dad wall.
Yeah, you had an interview like 2 years ago where you talked about the dad wall after your 2 kids with the pandemic, and
I think I remember that. The dad wall is always there, especially when you're dealing with you know, a wife that expects you to keep up, you know, to par as what she's doing. So there's always some pressure in that for sure.
A little bit more football question, if you don't mind. If I'm remembering correctly, you had 1 year with Chris. Is it Polizzi?
Yeah,
as your
CP,
grad
yeah.
assistant.
Yeah.
So he's back here now
Oh, is
as an
he?
analyst.
No
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
My man, that's my guy. Yeah, we still communicate every now and then, shoot text messages back and forth. You know, and it's probably been a couple years, but you know, just saying, you know, happy birthday, or I know he just had a kid, I want to say a couple years ago. Second, congratulations on that. So still communicate every now and then, but CP was my guy, man. I was really fortunate, you know, to have him along my journey.
What specifically did he do that kind of really helped?
Just the energy that he brought, you know, each and every day. He was real. He was a good coach, and he was kind of coaching under Phil Parker at that time, so I'm sure he learned a lot. But just somebody real in the room. I think that, you know, throughout my journey, having coaches that you can communicate with and really talk to, that you feel like you're working with rather than working for, and he was definitely one of those guys.
Did you get over the football building at all today, or?
I haven't. No, I literally just got in a couple hours ago, and I have to go right back to grab some food, stay at the hotel, and I'm right out at 6:30 in the morning. So didn't really get to see the complex too much, but hopefully we're back soon to be able to do that.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, you guys are up.